Thank you so much. Thank you for opening the space for us. And I had the opportunity to write everything because I don't want to miss something. And my name is Hilaria Pascual, and I'm a organizer here in Albuquerque for more than 8 years. She's my daughter, Litzy, and she's a civil rights organizer too here in Albuquerque. And today, we come to you with our hearts in our hands. We want to share what continues to happen in our city. Many of you knows about this. Every day, the situation grows worse for our communities. Families who live day by day with the fear of being detained by ICE. Today, we're speaking on behalf of families who do have a voice, but who right now are living under deep fear and uncertainty. For months, we have been walking alongside more than 15 families who live with constant fear, separation, pain that is not always visible, but is felt every single day.
I'm going to read a couple stories from the families. The first story is the Carrillo family. The Carrillo family is a family of 5. The father was allowed to remain in the city to fight his case, but the family is deeply in debt, continuing to pay legal fees. He lives with an ankle monitor. When it goes off, he has only 20 minutes to report, or authorities can come knocking at his door, placing the rest of his family at risk. This is how they live every single day. The Ortiz family. In December, Aldo Ortiz was detained just 1 block from his home near San Mateo and Central. Today I spoke with his wife, and I was in deep crisis. She kept saying she could not take it anymore, that she did not want to live another day. I know what it feels like when those words come from a place of darkness. I have been there. Tomorrow is Aldo's court hearing in El Paso, Texas, and we do not know what will happen. His wife and his child are waiting for him at home. No matter the outcome tomorrow, the Ortiz family is also at risk at losing their home here in the city. Imagine that level of stress, the fear, the uncertainty. Today, we ask for urgent prayers for this family. Another family is living through a very painful story. The father was selling tamales outside the Lowe's near Paseo del Norte when immigration arrived looking for someone else and took him instead. Later, they said they had identified his wife. She now lives with constant fear. Her court hearing is also scheduled for January. In the same family, there is a 16-year-old, a survivor of a horrific crime, who is now pregnant and due to give birth in February. We have created a donation list to help welcome this baby with dignity and support the family during this unimaginable time. And then the Carrasco family. Another family is the Carrasco family, a single mother with 3 children, one of them who has Down syndrome. Her brother was financially supporting them, was detained after stepping outside of the home in December. The child with Down syndrome was deeply attached to his uncle and has been suffering greatly since his detaining. With the help of other organizations, we were able to cover the rent, but they now need $750 to consult with an attorney and see if there's any legal option available. They also urgently need mental health support. Like these families, there are many more. We can't tell every story, and many families never reach out for help. Every day, there are more detainings, more separations, more pain.
Today, we come to you with an urgent request for support, prayers, sharing these stories. Any of your able donations, we are in need of gas cards, support with rent and utility bills, a sponsor willing to support families directly. If you choose to support, you may leave your name and contact information with us. We would love for the families to thank you, even if it's through a message or a photo. Thank you for listening. Thank you for not looking away. May God bless you for walking alongside these families during one of the most difficult moments in their lives. This is part of the stories that we are living every day. It is so hard to navigate with families when we don't have the resources. We are not an organization. We are families just supporting other families, because this is the only way that we can survive this administration. We resist every day. We fight every day. We love each other every day. So we want to thank you so much for everything that you do in that bridge. Every time that we have the opportunity to drive by, my daughter always hug the car and she say, oh, we need to drive again. We need to pass over here and say them that we are here to supporting them. So thank you so much. Thank you from the bottom of our heart. Thank you.
And we'll be outside while you guys can come talk to us if you have any questions, or if you want to do any donations, we'll be outside. And we also have a list. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. These women, this is what they do every day. Please chat with them. It's heartbreaking what families are going through, and these women are helping them every single day. If you can spare a little, please help out. You can Venmo them, you can give them cash, you can give them whatever. That's help out if you can. Okay, next slide, Tig. Okay, here's our schedule. I'm not sure is there a pop-up tomorrow, Sandy, Carl? No, okay, so I didn't take it off. Wednesday, there's a pop-up. All right, so tomorrow, coffee and conversation, 8 a.m., sunny side up. Resist Tyranny Tuesday at noon. Wednesday, cocktails and conversation, 5 p.m. at Juneau Brewery. I'm going to make it this week. Please come visit. And there's a pop-up. Is it at 4 p.m., Carl? Okay, it'll be in the Signal chat. Thursday, coffee and conversation, 9 a.m. at Barella's Coffee House. Postcard therapies Friday. I think we're going to assemble more of the Ice Watch packages. If you want to get an Ice Watch package, we have them here. Come pick up 1, 10, whatever you think you can distribute. You're welcome to them. That's why we're making them. They have a whistle, an instruction card, and a red card in each package. So come take what you need. They're in this box and in this bag. The ones that don't get taken, we're going to be giving to Ilaria and Litzy for them to distribute among the families they support. Resist Tyranny Saturday, Highway 528, 550 in Bernalillo. Sunday we're off, and then Monday we're back here. So those are our actions for the week. Next slide. So I've received no information about the parade, which is why it isn't up there, because I don't know anything about it. If somebody has info about it, please send it to me, and we'll make sure it gets in the newsletter, because that came up at the board meeting. I haven't heard anything. Okay. Please remember to pay your dues. We'll leave this up there for a moment in case you haven't done that. We have the membership committees preparing a letter to send out to folks that haven't paid their dues. So please help support our work by paying your dues, and then we in turn can also help support those in our community. All right, next slide. Next week we have Chantal nope, I can't say it. Muhumare and Michelle Benton from the Umoja group that we've helped over the many years. And the week after that, we have Sam Bregman, who is our Bernalillo County District Attorney and candidate for governor. He'll be here speaking. And tonight, if I could get Fern up from Force Multiplier. Come on up. Where is... Oh, she's on the Zoom. Okay, and then how about Elaine? Is Elaine here? Where's Elaine Cimino? Barbara Grothus, where's Elaine?
I'm on the Zoom too.
Oh, they're both on Zoom. Okay, that's helpful information. Thank you. Over to the Zoom, Tig. Let's start with Elaine.
You can go ahead and spotlight Tom Hallett. Tom is our co-chair, and he'll be represent you.
Oh, thank you, Fern. Am I coming through okay?
Give us a minute. We need to do some technology.
Yes, I do. And your tech person has those? Prior to any of these approvals. Uh, they there was no environmental review, so we're asking that the state auditor, the DOJ, and the Ethics Commission investigate this. There's 3 investigations going on now. And so while they're investigating, we are trying to go and ask the legislature to not fund any of the projects that are going through the legislature and the capital outlay. And one of those projects is to build the road extension for Paseo del Volcan. I have slides and slide package and flyers and postcards in the lobby, and you're welcome to take those. And if you fill out the postcards, that would be great, and mail those off. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So why we're asking for a freeze on the funding for the road project. And Project Ranger is a high-risk industrial weapons and explosive facility. The detonations are going to be 135 decibels. That is over the sound of a sonic boom. These are going to be daily, and they're going to be many. There is no mitigation that the county made to monitor the sound, to put a curfew, to curfew the lights and noise, and to do any kind of review of what is going to contaminate our aquifer. This area was under a master plan, and it was to create a conservation easement so our aquifer would not get contaminated. But this group of county commissioners changed the zoning, and there were no public hearings, so there was no real notice. That even in the advertisements for the projects, they weren't really clear when you would look at an agenda what they were actually going to be voting on. And so that's why there's a lot of confusion about what is going on out there. And it's going to impact the entire basin. Our aquifer out here supplies water to over 200,000 people in Rio Rancho and in Northwest Albuquerque. And this type of industry will contaminate through perchlorates, for PFAS, and for a lot of other contaminants. And every community who has these rocket motors has contaminated water. No matter what they said they were going to try to do to mitigate that, it has not worked in about 10 communities across the country. Next slide, please. Next slide. So this is not a routine zoning matter. Things didn't come forward through the regular channels of the zoning. And so what they tried to do is put the funding up front and then make a lot of explanations later. And they did this in Project Jupiter as well. And they're doing this type of fast tracking in data centers all over the country. That's why these data centers are getting approved, because of what they're doing with LEDA, with the participation agreements, and with these IGAs. Next slide, please. So we have to know what was skipped. Right now, there's no federal environmental review like NEPA. There's no federal lead agency. There's no wildlife consultant. There's no incomplete public records. And we deserve a public impact statement review, and to prevent this approval first and consequences later decision. They have already started bulldozing. They have already put an evap pond with poured our drinking water into this. I had to call EPA to have them call NMED to come out and make them follow the law. And so they were non-compliant with environmental actions on 2 occasions, one on 12/16 and one this last week on 1/6. So I did contact the Fish and Wildlife Commission service, and they said that the Bendire thrashers, this is their habitat, and they don't migrate. Things get really hard. It nests, it raises its young, it survives here, and our laws are not protecting it, and nobody's protecting it. And 5 agencies look the other way. And so that's why there's this investigation going on, because none of our state agencies even did their due diligence in this. So we're going before the legislature. We're asking them to not fund. We're going to pull this item off of the out of the capital outlay to fund Paseo del Volcan. They are doing this extension from UNSER out to the project. And this is going to haul hazardous waste. And there has not been a public hearing yet. And they're already doing this. This is like unbelievable. So we're asking them, we have to have the environmental reviews. We have to have them assess what the financial risks are before any more public commitments are made. And they're shifting all of those risks onto the taxpayers. They're putting all the public infrastructure on the taxpayers and through state budgets for their funding decisions and intergovernment agreements. And so we need legislative action, and that's why we're going to be there on January 20th with our banner, asking the legislature to realize that there are ongoing investigations right now, and there are financial risks that they were foreseeable, and they did not report. And our bond funding now, and possibly our rating for the state, is at risk because we have people who are in economic development running and ramming these types of projects through, like Project Jupiter and Project Ranger, without the full environmental reviews, without the public hearings, without the types of notices that need to be given. They're doing this because this is part of the authoritarian drift that is going on in this country, and Rio Rancho is part of that. And they voted unanimously at the county commission, and only one a councilor voted against this in the city. They supplied over $1 million of our drinking water to dump onto the desert floor for dust control. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. No, it's not. Oh, I see. Go back. I was looking at the wrong slides. Sorry. So I just wanted to go where you see where the road is. Go back one more. I've already talked about some of this already, but I just want to. Okay, there it is. So here's the road out to Unsur, and this is what they want to fund with the Paseo uh, delivery and shipment route. And this has not gone under in NEPA. They haven't even looked at what the ozone impacts are going to be, or what the runoff, storm runoff, what all the risks that are there. And what they do is they take that. LIDA was never meant to backfill risk. Projects approved, risk created, public money requested, and this moves forward. And this is post-approval cost shifting. This is what they're doing. And they did the same things, and they're risking the bonds. And I have that as well. And the next slide shows that what the pattern is, what the contaminants are, and what we're asking our legislators to do. We want to freeze Project Ranger until all the required reviews and approvals are committed, pull the funding from Paseo del Volcan road extension tied to this project, suspend and claw back LIDA commitments that were made without prior public hearings. That's the law. They broke the law. And we want full environmental review before any further state and local action is made. The pause implementation of the PPA and the IGA until legal compliance is restored. You have to protect the taxpayers. We have to protect our bond markets from further exposures from undisclosed risks. And over on this slide that shows military poisons, there's a whole list of contaminants that are pretty bad. And this is what is in communities across our country. I also have a picture of the pond that they made last week that has holes in it. They did such sloppy work that APA went back out there and cited them to make them do the liner over again. And there's been no permit. They applied for a permit, but the permits have not even been posted. So I'm trying to get all this information, and I'm doing it through IPA requests. And so I've been able to piece this together as to find out what is happening and to be able to get the procedures down. And so that's would be a clean stopping point for the legislature. We're not asking them to adjudicate this. We're just asking them to freeze the project so that we could have all of these studies done and that we can figure out what the risks are and protect our bond market here. This is really important because bond markets set rates for mortgages, for insurance, and this is all on the taxpayer right now. Yeah. Wait, I'd like you to take action. There's postcards out there. We want you to mail them to the Legislative Finance Committee. If you would, emails don't work as well during the session, so that's why we're doing the postcards. They're faster. They create a physical audit trail because they come in and the mailroom counts them, and then it will reach the budget and oversight staff directly. This is our last slide, is how to take action. We have our QR code. We are going to be at the We Got Us mass mobilization. This is our banner. We have 15 organizations supporting Freeze Project Ranger. And we're going to meet on the southwest side of the plaza at 10 a.m. It's scheduled for 10 a.m. It was scheduled for 10:30, but they've moved it. So we're going to try to be there about 9:30, 9:45 on the southwest side of the plaza to be able to march to the roundhouse and rally. So if you could come and support us, we'd really appreciate it. And as you can see, we have a lot of local and national groups supporting us. And we really appreciate Indivisible for their support of this. I could talk longer, but I won't. It's just going to impact our water, impact our air. The sound is going to bounce off the sandias. There's going to be reverb. It's going to affect your animals. The sound is not something that, and it's a sudden impact. It's a sudden impact sound. So we need the studies.
All
We
right.
need
Thank you, Elaine.
the
So grateful for
reviews
your
and
time.
so forth.
Thank you.
Just
We're going to move on to Fern with Force Multiplier.
Hello, I'm seeing myself on your screen. Elaine, thank you very much for that presentation. I'm Fern Fisher. Thank you for arranging with us at Force Multiplier to present tonight. And we have another piece of information to give you. I'm going to turn it over to the Force Multiplier co-chair, Tom Halleck, who's going to explain another approach of something that you can do if you don't like what's going on. And let me just turn it right over to you, Tom.
Hey, thank you, Fern. Thank you, Ray Ellen. Thank you all for inviting us here tonight. I mean, it's inspiring to see the role that you're playing in your community, from the bridges to the streets to supporting the Ortiz and Carrillo and other families, and also just giving a platform for something like Project Ranger. I think, this kind of thing is happening all over the country. It's our strength. This movement is growing, and I'm really glad to be with you in community here tonight at the Lobo Theater. So I'm Tom Halleck. I live in the Boston area. I'm one of the founders of Force Multiplier and one of its course co-chairs. Before that, I worked in bookselling and publishing and spent the last 20 years with a progressive independent press publishing books on race and gender and activism. And when I retired, I decided that I needed to practice what I had been publishing. So tonight, I'm just going to give you an overview of Force Multiplier, who we are, what we do, and then we'll have some time for your questions. It's been such a jarring start to the new year, beginning with the just unimaginable kidnapping of the president of Venezuela, the threats to invade Colombia, Mexico, Greenland, the aggressive deployment of ICE around the country, especially in Minneapolis, and the murder of Renee Nicole Good there by an ICE agent. So it's clear that this is an increasingly desperate and dangerous regime that will act impulsively and lawlessly. And we're really seeing how autocracy can undermine a mature democracy. The political scientist Eric Chenoweth tells us that it typically takes 18 to 24 months for authoritarians to consolidate power. We're now 12 months into Trump's second term, with 11 months to go before the midterms. So we have the opportunity and the privilege of fighting for our democracy. So let me tell you a little bit about Force Multiplier. We are an 8-year-old, all volunteer fundraising group that's working to win democratic power at the federal level. We started in 2017 as a group of ordinary citizens in the Boston area, a blue city and a blue state, who had become really alarmed by the first election of Donald Trump. And we're trying to figure out what we could do to counter the authoritarian threat that he represented. And we decided to focus on the next elections, the 2018 midterms, and figure out how we could help create a Democratic majority in the House. Massachusetts congressional delegation is entirely Democratic. And so we started looking at races across the country that were more likely to be decisive in determining the majority. And we decided that what we had to offer was that we could fundraise. We could contribute resources to help these candidates run competitively and flip some Republican seats. So we started doing that in 2018. We supported 15 candidates, 13 of them won. In 2020, we started supporting candidates for the Senate and worked to build a Democratic majority there. And we also supported groups that were registering and mobilizing voters and fighting voter suppression. Now there are 33 current members of the House, 10 current members of the Senate who were elected with our support. And we've grown from our founding group of 12 people to a network of over 13,000 and have raised over $30 million in the last year. So last 8 years, not just last year. So a few of the basics about us. As I said, we're an independent volunteer fundraising group. We're not part of the Democratic Party. We are focused on federal races and winning governing power by electing Democratic majorities in the House and Senate. We want to create enough power at the federal level to restrain the MAGA regime. And we believe that Democratic majorities are needed in the House and Senate to stop this authoritarian takeover and to make progress on all the issues that concern us: democracy, the economy, climate change, reproductive choice, immigration rights, healthcare. Our number one goal this cycle is to flip the House. We think that's our next and best opportunity to stop this Democratic backsliding. We believe we will have elections and that we better be prepared to win them. Our second goal is to build power in the Senate and then win the White House in 2028. So we use a pragmatic, data-driven approach to selecting candidates, and we don't apply any litmus tests around positions on issues. We research the House and Senate races to determine which ones are likely to be decisive in the coming election years, which are the ones that are going to help us build the majority. And we help people sort through the multitude of solicitations that I know you all are getting and help you find a place where your donation can really matter. So many of the solicitations we're getting now are from people who are not really in competitive races. And in some cases, they still are in the primary stage, and you're really helping them run against another Democrat. So we do the research so you don't have to. In addition to supporting candidates, we also support groups that are working to counter authoritarianism, defend democracy, and create the conditions in which democracy can flourish and where we can have free and fair elections. And I don't have to tell you that that's not something that Donald Trump wants. I'll give some examples of the form that that's taking in a moment. We are also self-funded. All of your donations go directly to the candidates or groups that you choose without Force Multiplier adding any cost or even seeing or touching the money. We don't redistribute it ourselves. We cover our own expenses, and we are making recommendations people can act on by donating through the Act Blue pages that we've set up. The way that our community's grown from this group of 12 in the Boston area to a national network of 13,000 people was organically, just by people talking to their friends, neighbors, coworkers, book group members, people that they walk their dogs with, and house parties and meetings like this have been an essential part of that. Our average donations in the $100 to $200 range, but there is a wide range. People are welcome, whatever that they can give. Making a donation of $100 may not feel significant in the face of all that's going on, but when you focus the donations of so many people on a targeted group of key races and groups, it really has a collective impact, and it's another way of using our power. We also don't share email or phone information, and we have an arrangement with ActBlue so that they don't either. So you will not get more texts or emails as a result of donating through us. We know how overwhelmed everybody is with that. And the last part of our program is that we hold 2 Zoom fundraising events a month to support our candidates and groups. We've hosted leaders such as Jamie Raskin. We've had thought leaders like Heather Cox Richardson and Erica Chenoweth. And videos of many of these events are on our website and YouTube channel. So here's our strategy for this cycle. We believe elections will happen in 2026, but under more authoritarian conditions. As Anat Shenker-Osorio says, authoritarians don't cancel elections, they corrupt them. They want that veneer of legitimacy that they have been elected. We see our core mission as stopping this assault on democracy and restoring it by using the electoral process and nonviolent civil resistance. So to do that, we're working in 3 interrelated areas. First, we have to fight autocracy, and we must prevent as much damage as possible and protect the democratic process and rule of law. Secondly, we want to create the conditions in which democracy can flourish and we can win free and fair elections. We need to be very proactive about protecting voting rights. And thirdly, we want to elect candidates so that we can get control of federal government and support groups that turn out voters for those candidates. Hey, can you shift to the homepage of our website, and I'll talk a little bit more about how this is all working. Let's go to our homepage.
Do I understand correctly that Ray Ellen will moderate the Q&A and call on people with questions?
I do see one question in here. Are you funding Susan Collins' opponent? We will. As soon as it's decided who she is, we've worked in Maine, tried to unseat her once before, and we will try to do it again. Maine is definitely one of our better opportunities. But we don't get involved pre-primary. We will wait until there is a nominee or presumptive nominee. And right now it's a competitive primary between Graham, I've forgotten his last name, the oyster fisherman, and the former governor, Janet Mills.
Hear me? Awesome. All right, Leandra has a question for you.
I just want to make sure I'm clear. So you said all the money that comes in is directly given to the representatives, and you do not pick until after the primaries? I'm just trying to clarify because we get a lot of emails and we are always trying to decide which PACs actually give the money to the reps. And then it sounded like so you don't have any process where you push political strategy on the reps, is that correct?
Yeah, great question. I'm getting a little, hope you're not. We do not push political strategy on the candidates for office ourselves, and we don't actually receive and distribute the money. So you, the donor, are making a donation directly to the candidate or group that we are recommending through an Act Blue page that we have set up. So the candidate or group will know the money came through Force Multiplier. We can track what's happening, but we don't actually see or redirect the money ourselves.
In other words, you don't donate to Force Multiplier. We have our website organized for you to be able to make your decision about exactly where you want your specific donation to go. Even though you can click with one click and have it go to a whole slate if you want to do that, or individual candidates or any of the groups. But it's a little confusing at times, but really important to realize that you don't contribute to Force Multiplier because we don't touch the money.
Thanks for the questions.
Supporting the Senate seats with Jasmine Crockett or James Tallarico, whoever comes out ahead.
Yeah, again, we wouldn't get involved until there's a candidate and it's determined that they're really in a competitive race. We have supported Senate candidates in Texas in the past and been disappointed. But, Texas is worth fighting for. So, personally, we might have some opinions about Tallarico versus Crockett. And we also liked Colin Allred. We'll wait to see what comes out of the primary and where things stand.
I think the important point is to realize that in order for us to make an endorsement of a candidate, our political research has to conclude that they have a shot at winning, not a long shot or not a sure bet. They have a shot at it and they need funds. So there may be some candidates that we would wish would win, but we find it even helpful to be able to say to people, you know what, that's not a race that your funds will have the most impact in. So if it's on our list, it's meeting those criteria.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we measure our results in terms of the amount of money that was directed to races that were won or lost by 5%. And we had about 75% of the dollars raised through our community went to candidates who were in races that were that close.
Fern answered some of my questions, but really, how do you go about deciding which candidates?
We're not hearing the speaker. Can somebody repeat the question?
So, can you hear me now? So, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. I said Fern answered some of my question, but really I'm interested in how exactly do your consultants go about deciding who is going to be the best candidate to support? Because there are so many, you're right, there are so many requests for money coming in, and most of these people sound really great. So I really have very little way of figuring out whom to give my money to, and of course I don't have oodles of money. So how do your consultants figure out who they think will be the best candidates that'll have the best shot at getting elected? Thank you.
Great question. Just to be clear, you're kind of dignifying us by saying we have consultants. What we have is a group of volunteers that are doing the research on these races. And what we do is we start off with groups like the Cook Report and Sabato's Inside Elections that analyze all the data and rate the races, the competitiveness of the races. So they'll have so many that are solid Democratic, so many that are solid Republican, some that are lean Republican, lean Democrat, and some that are toss-up. So right there, you have some tools that you can narrow it down with because there's an awful lot of races that just aren't competitive. It's reflects the way people live in this country, but also it reflects partisan gerrymandering. So then we dig in and we study the voting history in each district or each state and look at the margin of victory for Republicans or Democrats and see where there's a possibility for a competitive race. And so we're doing two things. We're trying to determine how competitive the race is, and then we're also trying to determine who needs the money. Sometimes a person will be in a competitive race, but they have the resources, they don't need us. So we will turn our attention to someplace else. And the way that we can do that and tell how they're doing financially is through the FEC reports. And also we have some other sources that we can talk to the campaigns themselves that let us know how much money the candidates have and how much money their opponents have and where there's a gap that we might be able to help fill.
So, as an example, a democratic socialist is not going to win in Iowa.
Sorry, I think I'm getting this question.
A democratic socialist is not going to win in Iowa. How do you screen, I think you've answered my question, but screen and focus on candidates that will really win in competitive districts where the candidate needs to be able to get the majority of the vote, so not be far left or far right, but really be able to win in that district?
Yeah, that's another great. I think the first part of the answer is that it's really the voters who screen the candidates, and that's one reason we don't get involved in the primaries. That the voters in a state or a district are deciding, who they want to run against them. And I think one thing that you can say that everyone from Abigail Spanberger in Virginia to Zoran Mondami in New York had in common was they listened to the people that they wanted to represent, and they reflected their concerns in the programs that they were suggesting and the messages that they were suggesting. And that's what candidates have to do. I mean, they have to serve the people in their district or their state and reflect their lived experience and offer them real solutions to real problems. So I would say we don't have a political position ourselves. A lot of the candidates that we end up supporting are essentially more centrist Democrats because they're in very competitive districts and they need to be able to win independents and even some Republicans in order to get elected. Fern, you look like you might have something to add to that.
No.
Okay.
Special guest, thank you so much for being on Zoom with us tonight, explaining Force Multiplier. This sounds like a great program we can use to kind of cut through a lot of the noise that we all get. Very grateful. Just want to remind you all, as you're walking out, please stop by and chat with Ilaria and Litzy. Give a donation to them if you can to help our families here in Albuquerque that they support. Also, if you need ice packages, ice watch packages, they're right here in this box. And I know Nasser has some out front as well. And Michelle has a quick announcement.
Yeah, somebody asked about an MLK rally, and Saturday at Civic Plaza from 11 to 3, there will be speakers and a promotion there. If you want to march from University and Las Lomas, they will march down at 10 o'clock to Civic Plaza. So that's where you can go. Or you can look at the City of Albuquerque website for more information. They're sponsoring.
Matthew has a quick announcement.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
West Side Democrats happy hour on the 23rd at Hops and Does. It's over there on the west side. You can look it up. I got the address right here, but I got a short time. The 23rd, Friday. Happy hour with West Side Dems.
And remember to sign the postcards out there. And Matthew, if you'll send me some emails on that, I'll make sure it gets in the newsletter. Thank you all very much. Appreciate you. See you next week. Thank you.